Hello, everyone. I hope each and every one of you is doing well. We're back again to our math journey, and the goal of joining this class is to make math comfortable. There's a perception out there that math is a difficult subject, but the purpose of our class is to demystify that, is to remove those kind of fear. If you haven't subscribed yet, I'd like you to subscribe. I'd like you to share and like this video. All right. And today we are looking at significant figures. We're looking at significant figures. And it's one of the topics that is challenging to many. But we're going to start off by looking at few rules here and there. Few rules here and there. Let's look at a number such as a figure like this 0.071562. Now, one of the rules in significant figures is that if the number figure begins with a zero, you have to ignore that zero. You have to ignore that zero. If the we ignore this basically. Another rule is that if it begins with zero and there's also a zero next after, like this thing here. There's a zero after this decimal point. We also ignore that zero. Ignore the zero. Right. So first rule, if there's a zero begins the number, you ignore that zero. If zero comes after the decimal point and a zero began that number, we also ignore that zero. We also ignore that zero. All right. I hope this is clarifying things so far. I hope it is clarifying things so far. So let's keep that in mind. Let's keep that in mind. So another rule is that if you have, let's say, we have, let's say, this number 699.016330000, right? We're going to imagine that. You see here, the number began with a zero, did not begin with a zero. So we cannot say we are going to ignore that. We are going to put that in our mind, right? And here, there's a zero right after the decimal point. We are not going to ignore. We cannot ignore. We cannot ignore. So we are going to use it. We are going to count that zero. Because why? Because this number, the number in front of this, the number in front of the decimal point, is not zero. It's not zero. So since it's not zero and it's a zero right after the decimal point, we have to count that zero. We only ignore that zero if the number beginning that comes before the decimal point is not zero. I hope that is clear. That is a bit clear. I hope that is a bit a bit clear, a bit clear. All right. So we will consider the zero after the decimal point if the number before the decimal point is not zero. So we're going to delve right into it, and then we are going to start. We are going to start. We're going to start. We're going to look at this. Imagine you've been given the number 613. For example, you've been given the number 613, and you are being asked how many significant figures. And remember the word significant. How many numbers are significant in this number here? All right. Now remember that this number, there's no decimal point, but they are just numbers. How many numbers do we have? This is one, this is two, and then this is three. So therefore, there are three significant figures. I'll call it figs. Significant figures in here. Let's have this thought for a second. Imagine that it is 613.0, for example. Now, remember, don't forget, remember that we said that this number here is not zero, right? It's not zero, and it is coming before the decimal point. It's coming before the decimal point. And this number here is zero, and it's coming right after the decimal point. So we are going to consider it. We are not going to ignore. We cannot ignore that zero. Why can't we ignore that zero? It's because the number that it comes before. You see, this number coming before the decimal point. This is the decimal point. the number that is coming before the decimal point is not zero. So we have to count this. So therefore, 613.0, we can say that this is the first number, this is the second number, this is the third number, and then this is the fourth. So this is what, basically this is going to give us four significant figures. Four significant figures. I hope this helps. I hope this helps. I hope this is helping us. All right. All right. So now, let's take a look at another one. Let's take a look at another one. Uh, Imagine that we've been given a different number. We are being asked to tell how many significant figures there are, or we should correct it to a specific significant figures. So let's take this number 619 dot or 0.0613300. How many significant figures do we have here? If anyone can tell me, how many sig figs are there? Sig figs are there? How many? Now, remember that we're saying that this number here is not zero, so we are going to consider it. And because of that, any number which is zero after the decimal point doesn't matter. So then, therefore, 619 dot or 0.0613300, we can see that this is the first number, this is second, this is third, this is four. We're going to count everything. The six, this is seven, this is eight, this is nine, this is 10, and this is 11. So there are 11 significant figures, sig figs, in this particular problem. In this particular problem right here. Now, we are going to do something together. I'm going to put, remember that in our last video, we were able to do decimal places. And now we are learning about significant one, figures. So I'm going to put a question first, and then we see how that helps in this particular setting. Now let's imagine that we have 27.6273, for example. And we are being told to look for two decimal places. Don't forget your decimal places. So remember, this is the first decimal place, and this is your second decimal place. And we said that we always bring a dotted line. So we're going to have 27.62 with a dotted line, 73. And we say that we're going to ask the question, is this greater than or equal to 5? And it's yes. So we're going to add 1 to the 2. So we're going to have 27. The equal to sign should come as always. 27.63. And then we have what? 2 decimal places. What about the same number, 27.6273? And we are being asked to look for to write this number in two significant figures. Two significant figures. How are we going to write that? Remember that in two significant figures, how are we going to write it? Can someone be able to tell me? Remember that we have this is, we said this was the first decimal place, if you remember. All right, we cannot say that that's our first significant figure. You know, to write this in two sig figs, remember that we can ignore all this, right? So that we just have 27. We just have 27. But you see, before we can do that, this is the first significant figure, and this is your second significant figure. All right, I'd like to take it again. I'd like to take it again. I'd like to take it again. Remember that because the number that is starting is a number, and this is not zero. Let me write it here. You know, this number is not zero. Because of that, we have 27.6273. This becomes the first significant figure. This becomes the second significant figure. But the number next to the second significant figure, which is the third significant figure, it's what? It's more than 5. It's more than 5. Therefore, we can add 1 here so that our answer will give us 28. Our answer will give us 28. And then we are into sig figs. I hope this helps. We're into sig figs. All right, let's take another one. We're taking another one. And this time, we're going to have the number 0. All right, we're going to have the number 0.71562. I think it's 0, point 0. It's 0, I think. It's 0, 0.071562. All right. Now, remember that if you are being told to do in 3 decimal places, right? In 3 decimal places, we're going to have 0.071562. And we said that this, because this is 0, we ignore. And then right after that too, we ignore. Because we ignore this 0 because the number that comes before the decimal point is 0. So this rather becomes our first. Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. I'm talking about significant figures. My brain is moving somewhere else. Sorry, I apologize. So we're saying that when it comes to decimal place, the number that comes right after the decimal point, this is the first decimal place, this is the second, and this is the third. And if that's the case, we put a dotted line right here. So we're going to have 0.071562, right? And then we're going to put a dotted line right there. Because this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. Now, this 5 is greater than and equal to 5, so we're going to add 1 here. And to do that, we're going to get 0.072. 0.072. And this is in 3 decimal places. Now, can we say the same for significant figures? So 0.071562. We said that if we're going to write this in 3 significant figures, we said that, let me write this before I start to talk. This is 0, so we ignore, right? We ignore that because it's 0. And then this is also going to be ignored. Why? Because the number that comes before this decimal point is 0. So we are ignoring both. We ignore all of this. We ignore all. And then we can say that this is our first significant figure. This is our second. And then this is our what? Our third significant figure. But remember, we're going to drop a dotted line right there. So that you're having 0.071562. And the dotted line is right after the 5. We have a dotted line that is right after the 5. Now, is this greater than or equal to 5? And the answer is yes. So we're going to add 1 here. So that's going to be 0.0716. And this is 3 significant figures. 3 significant figures. I hope this helped. I'll come to you again. But before I go, if you have not yet subscribed to our channel, I'd like you to do the same. I'd like you to do that. Please subscribe. Please like this video and share. I'll come to you again. Take care. Bye.